So in the last video, we looked at how to use fit media to place audio within the DAW multi-track timeline. In this video and the next, we're going to look at how to use MakeBeat to do this in a different way. That's more akin to pattern sequencing. In this video, we'll talk about MakeBeat in detail and the special strings that we have to pass into it as parameters to indicate how these patterns work. In the next video, we'll continue this exploration by looking at ways that we can manipulate these strings algorithmically and also look at how we can use lists and MakeBeat together in some interesting ways. So first, I just want to recall what we did at the end of Module 3 with pattern sequencing, where we had this environment here where our x-axis was time, and our y-axis in this case was MIDI note number. And each of these columns represented 1/16th note of music. And so together, this represented one measure, 16 16th notes. And by clicking on these different boxes, we could turn on a particular MIDI note number to trigger on a particular 16th note. And those MIDI note numbers could trigger different pitches, but we also created a drum machine here, where each one was just triggering a different audio file to play back on that 16th note. And so that's the model that we're really going to adopt here. We're not actually using MIDI with MakeBeat. This is all done with audio files being placed directly within the DAW, but we're doing it using a very similar interface paradigm, just through code. And so the way MakeBeat works is that you pass it a sound using one of those sound constants, just like the ones that we used with fit media. You tell it what track number you want it to be on, track 1, track 2, so on and so forth. You give it a starting time where you want this pattern to start, and that uses that same floating point representation of measures and percentages within measures that we were using with fit media. And then the new part here is that you give it a beat string, a string that represents what one of these patterns is. You know, when there's nothing, when there's a rest, when there's a sound playing, and we also have the ability to tie sounds together. So we could say that this is all would be one note. It would last, say, 3/16 notes if I were to kind of color that all in. These beat strings, I just want to walk through how they work. They're strings in Python, and each character represents a 16th note. So it's very common to have 16 characters in the string, so that would then equal one measure of music in 4/4 time. If we have a 0, it means that we're going to play the sound on that particular 16th note. If there's a plus, it means that we're going to extend or tie over the previous note, so make it continue playing for the next 16th note. And if there's a minus, that means that we are going to have a rest or silence on that 16th note. So let me walk through a specific example here with this beat string up here. And so you can see on the first 16th note, there's a 0, so we're playing the sound there. Then we're resting for 16th note. Then we're playing, and we're playing again, and resting. Playing and playing again, and resting. And then here, we're playing for 4 16th notes, which is just going to be one beat. And here, we're playing for 2 16th notes, which would be an 8th note. And here, we're playing for 2 16th notes again, which would be an 8th note. And that all adds up to 16 16th notes. And you end up getting a rhythm that sounds something like this. Da, 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 da. So again, da, 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 da. And so if we then put this all together into a call to MakeBeat, it ends up looking something like this, where we specify the sound file we want to use. We specify the track, the starting location, in this case just the beginning of measure 1, and then we have our beat string. Now, I want to say one other thing quickly about these sound files here. You can use any sound file you want, and it'll just take the first 16th note of it. Say if you're, if you just have a 0 there, or if you have something like this, it'll take the first 4 16th notes of duration from the sound file, or here the first 2 16th notes of duration. So I can use any sound file from Richard Devine or Young Guru or my own or whatever you might want to use there. Anything that you can pass in as a sound constant. But we also provide with EarSketch a set of files that are particularly well suited for MakeBeat, because they're rather than being a measure long or 2 measures long or something like that, they're just a simple hit. So you don't always have to use these, but these can be some good basic percussion sounds to use. They're in fact the same ones that we used in the pattern sequencing demo with the drum machine that I did back in Module 3. So let me show you how to find those make beat sounds. It's probably pretty self-evident. We have always been seeing these Young Guru and Richard Devine folders, and down here there's a make beat folder. And these are all these one-shot percussion sounds that are really good for using with make beat, like a clap sound. So now let's go ahead and write a script with MakeBeat using everything that we've learned. So I have a new template here. I'll call this demo of MakeBeat and put in my name in the description. And then we already have from EarSketch import star in it and set tempo. Maybe I'll try a different tempo here, 152, let's say. And then I'm just going to type in MakeBeat, parentheses, and the first argument here is going to be the sound I want to use. So I'll try that OS clap 01 sound. Then the track I want it to go on, track 1. The measure I want it to start at, in this case, measure 1. And then my beat string, which is da, 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 da. And then I'll close my quote for the string. I'll close my parentheses for the function. And I should be able to run this. There we go. And you can see here. And you can see where the rests are. Here we have empty spaces, like there. Now, let me draw this. Here is silence. Here's silence, because those are minus signs, and there's silence. So those are all the minus signs. And then when I had the plus signs, see how this extended the duration here. And as you listen to it, you can hear kind of the reverberation of the clap sound coming through those parts. And just to bring that point home a little bit more, what if I put in a different sound file here that had a little bit more duration to it? You would really hear those ties as opposed to the rests. So I'll go ahead and just put that 8-bit Atari lead sound in that we were using in the last video. So same rhythm, same pluses and minus signs, different sound in here. You can again see where the rests are versus the ties. Same thing, but the sound file has a little bit more happening in that later time, so you'll really hear the ties coming through. So to review what we've covered here, we talked about all the different function parameters of MakeBeat and how to use it and how to create these beat strings, the meanings of the 0, the plus, and the minus characters. We're going to continue our exploration of MakeBeat in the next video by looking at ways that we can perform operations to transform those strings and also see how we can use lists together with MakeBeat to load several different sound files within a single pattern.